Hey there, it's Nat. And this week I wanted to continue to talk a little bit more about intuition, which I feel is really kind of more important than ever right now for us to be building and working upon. I'll tell you why shortly. And building upon my last blog and last event, I also wanted to also give this week some practical solutions on how we can actually keep working on that. So firstly, why is it so important right now? Have you noticed how loud the world is getting? I've been saying for a good decade that it was going to get louder technology-wise in terms of the frequency and the amount of just sheer Wi-Fi signal device related busyness that's in the world around us, let alone if you're living in a city. There's a lot of busyness, there's a lot of people in terms of sensory information and the full range of spectrum of data that's being communicated, let alone at a time in the evolution of the planet we're about to add a whole bunch of extra, we already have added an extra bunch of satellites to the atmosphere. Things are getting loud. It's getting really loud. And at the same time, we've been through something right now which has brought up a whole lot of wounding and trust issues. The situation this year in particular, tell me if you're seeing this be the way for you and how it is in other countries as well, but certainly in Australia right now, after bushfire season, after what's just been going on, after how things were handled earlier in the year, there is this huge purge going on, a huge amount of issue coming up around trust in authority, trust in power, trust at the most basic level in others, trust in ourselves, uncertainty around who we listen to, what's the right thing to do, can I trust myself even? There's so many different aspects to this, and I started talking about this on Facebook a little bit this week. There are so many aspects coming up right now that actually at a deeper level relate to trust. And if we're to really solve part of that problem, part of the way that we solve that problem and come back into deeper connection with ourselves, if you're into this, a deeper connection with the universe, God, whatever your word is for the higher guidance and insight that's available to us, how do we come into deeper connection with that? I mean, it's such a part of how that's so important in navigating our way through the present circumstances. Yeah? I'm not sure if you can hear, but all of a sudden, when this is perfect too, like it's just got so much louder on the road out there all of a sudden. The world is getting louder. It has never been more important to be able to have the abilities to be able to use the full range of our sensory and intuitive faculties to be able to differentiate between what signal is what. Like, what is you? What is me? What is my past stuff? What is my present stuff? What's going on with you? What's going on with that up there? To be able to isolate any given stream in any given moment and tap into the data of that and then be able to utilize that for communication purposes, to be able to better connect with people. Like I was saying on this last few weeks of the blog and the event, like for improving the quality of our communication when we're speaking, for our ability to relate to our audiences and our clients, to be able to be picking the most appropriate solution because we're hearing the clearest answer from the highest possible place. Like, it's so important for those reasons to be able to clearly be able to tap into that clear intuitive channel, right? To whatever data that we want to as we need it in the moment. Also, in terms of right now, our life purpose, in terms of knowing how to navigate times of crisis and what to do. It's so important right now to be able to clear out all the stuff. This is one of the things I was talking about on the event recently. I've done recent videos about it. I've talked several times about doing basic meditation and alignment practices that bring us back into deeper connection with ourselves and clear out all the stuff that's getting in your head. Clear out all the stuff that's not you. Clear out anything out of your space that's not relevant to the present moment of whoever you're needing to interact with. one of the most important things that we need to do for a start is just come back to having a practice where we can clear out the noise, right? To be able to hear what it is that we're asking to hear. Second important thing within that, one of the second things that we can do, in addition to clearing out your headspace to be able to clearly hear a signal, and then, as per the last blog, to be able to be present with the other person or the audience or whoever we want to be present with in that moment, to be able to more accurately read what they're saying and more accurately read ourselves to the point too when it relates to us. One of the greatest also state shift things that I've noticed for decades that works, right, is to be able to just have fun. To be able to stop in the middle of when you're overthinking something, when you're overthinking a task. Now, this relates less to speaking and this relates less to client sessions, right? This relates more to when you're writing, when you're at home, when you're in your own space. Intention-wise, this applies with audiences and with people. But in general, right, when you're creating content, when you're working on your speaking pieces, when you're working on blogs for a start, and you're at home, and all of a sudden you get in that thinky place where you're overthinking, and then you get frustrated because you feel like you've run out of ideas and you're stuck and you don't know what's going on as to what you should put for the ending or where the next bit's going. And all of a sudden you're in this place of frustration and feeling disconnected and like you're completely blocked. One of the most simple state shift things you can do, things to shift your state, which gets you back in alignment, which gets you back in a clear state where not only where your brain can function, but higher wisdom can actually download into you, into the all parts of you that it needs to be communicated to, is stop and do something fun. Something that reconnects you with your heart, something that you love, something that's comedy. This is where I'm like the antichrist of some of the productivity gurus, right? Because I'm like, no, don't just push yourself through it. Stop. Stop for a moment. Go listen to a comedy piece. Go like play piano for a bit. Go play the guitar for a bit. Do something with the kids. Do something, ring a friend. Something that you love, something that's fun that you can still do within the context of the present situation. Like, what can you do that is that thing? Because it makes such a difference. It's almost like while you are still in that mental headspace trying to get the answer, it's like your computer, it's like your CPU's working at almost like 90%, right? If you were on an Apple MacBook of some description, like you'd be nearly at the point where the little beach ball of death is going in circles because your brain's working so hard and your bandwidth is so taken up trying to work it out, right? Or it's the little circle if you're on a Surface Pro, for example, the little blue circle that spins in circles when you're trying to load Outlook. You know, it's that one. That's kind of like where you're at when you're thinking way too hard about it. And the problem is once you get into that space, it's like if the universe, if God, if your guides, if your deceased grandmother who's trying to get you a message or whoever that's trying to get you a message, it's like they're trying to ring you, but they're getting a busy signal because your brain is so occupied, it's like you're on the phone right now. They can't get through. If you're lucky, you might hear the notification that comes up on your iPhone that says, hey, there's another call, do you want to swap over, right? But you may miss it as well. So the sheer act of going and doing something else fun, even going and doing something like loading the washing machine, I cannot tell you how many times I've walked, been like just doing some random house task, stuffing the washing machine, and then like partway through it, 3 sentences of the end of a blog just drop through with crystal clarity because you're like suddenly you're not trying anymore. You're not taken up with your mind trying to work it out. You're a free, empty vessel again, and suddenly the message can download and get through, right? So that's like suggestion number 2, I would say, is a really important thing. It's something that we can do to help build your intuition above and beyond all my recent advice on, you know, clearing space for yourself to actually hear yourself and hear others. And thing number 3 that I wanted to talk about today, I also wanted to give you a task with this today, right? Now, there's an interview that I posted this week where I start to talk about some of these moments where why it is the case that I feel to be that I am someone who, when it comes to divine wisdom, I am in absolute no doubt that there is something higher, that there is a force that's greater than us that is operating, because of the kind of experiences that I've had that I talk about in that interview. Like when I was in one of the worst states of my life where I was the most overwhelmed, and I talk about in that interview one of the experiences I had where it was so completely obvious in such a 1 minute I was completely crying my eyes out, completely overwhelmed and like completely giving up, and then the next minute my state just completely shifted when I asked for help and when I surrendered the old. Completely shifted to a state where I was almost euphoric, and then I could hear these words as clear as day in my head. There was nothing else in existence. It was like only me and this voice existed, and I heard it with such clarity. And it was the exact reason that I had this big turnaround that I talk about in that interview, right? And I've had so many of those moments since. I had moments when I was a teenager too, where, for example, one day there was, we lived in a property, 4-acre property in the middle of nowhere. There was one day we had a Canara in the dining room, which was our heating. On this one particular day, there was this hive of bees had decided to move down the chimney and build a hive in there. And they had started, some of them started coming through the vents and like had come into the house all along, were in the house, in the dining room, along the windows, right? Not all of them, but some of them. I, out of nowhere, on the bus, before I was getting on the school bus on the way home, I saw it. I saw the lounge room window as clear as day, and there was no reason why I should have thought it. But, you know, there's moments like that, you know, I've had those my whole life where I don't doubt anymore. There's been moments when 2011, 2012, well, 2011, I had this amazing pilgrimage in the outback of Australia, and ask me about it sometimes. Like, there was so many aspects of, I would say, the purpose of that trip was absolutely to help me understand and connect with, beyond a shadow of a doubt, my intuition to a much deeper level, to a level where I could not deny that it existed anymore, right? And then I've had other experiences in life, the kind that I'm about to tell you to start watching out for, whereby like, I was with a friend one day. We'd just come back from the Dandenongs in Victoria. Her and I had been for a walk. We were driving. We were like literally driving along the road, both of us very aware of where we were going. And then there was this car that was coming out of a street on the right-hand side. Your brain is quite capable of doing communications to note when, just like when you're about to swing and hit a baseball, you make similar calculations into the future in the same way to decide at what point either that ball's coming that you need to swing, or in this case, this car was traveling at a speed that it was about to come out and it was literally going to slam into the side of us, right? Because it was going too fast. I've watched freaky ass crap that you'd think was absolutely nuts if I tell you, and some of you will just think I'm nuts. But, you know, I've watched moments with her. We both saw the exact same thing where these cars are just coming at us, and it's almost like someone put it, compared to us, it was like someone pressed pause. You could literally see, it was almost like in Matrix when you could see with Neo, with the cat, with like the glitch, and it glitches, right? We saw moments like that where it looks like someone pressed pause on that bit, but our bit kept going, so as the car didn't smash into it. And both of us went like this, thank you, because neither of us wanted to have like something go wrong in that moment. You know, there's just, I could tell you 1,000 stories like this, in amongst, you know, because there's been some real struggle moments in my life, as well as some moments in my life I'm incredibly blessed to have had. But learning to trust my intuition to find a way to navigate those moments has been a huge theme. A huge theme in my life, right? So one of the things that I was going to suggest to you this week as the third thing to suggest, start noticing the God signs, please. Whether it's the universe signs or whatever you want to call it, please, your task for this week, if you choose it, and especially if you're in a state where you're not quite sure what to do right now, first thing that you do as a part of noticing the God signs, right? Ask for help. In my belief, this whole paradigm operates, this whole earth paradigm operates on this principle of free will, right? So if you want the help of someone else, you got to ask for it. Yeah? That's one of the premises that I operate on and I believe operates in this whole thing, right? So number one, you got to start by you have to make a request, right? Of you want help from your guides who are genuinely aligned with the highest good of all. I would say that's, I might use a phrase 5D and above. If you don't know what that means, ask me. But that genuinely are intending the highest good of you and everyone around you is the base assumption within that, right? Ask for their help. Then the second thing is you have to be really specific about what it is that you're wanting signs of, right? So suppose you just want some signs that they exist, some really clear, obvious signs that you have access to your intuition and to a source of information which is trying to help you. So the second thing is set an intention in really clear terms about, wanting to see signs this week. Clear, obvious ones that are really noticeable to you. And then number 3, part within that, is watch for the feedback. Watch in life, right? Watch, listen, feel, and notice the ways in which life shows up. A little bit of a thing that I would say within that as well. I was actually watching a movie called Interview with God last night. And this is like the most perfect example in this, because this guy had this character in it. He'd come back from Iraq. He had PTSD from what he'd seen. His wife and him were on the rocks. She was leaving. He was contemplating suicide, right? And within this scenario, he was having the conversation that many people have with God in some circumstances, where he was praying and he's asking for help and he feels like God's not answering, right? God is showing up in 3 interviews in the movie to actually talk with him face to face about the equation, and slowly gets to the point where the guy realizes that it actually is God, right? Actually talking to them. And in the process, the guy is saying, when they really get down to what the real problem is, other than what they're talking about for a start, and this comes back to the trust thing that all of us are going through right now, right? The guy starts yelling at God, saying, I've been praying to you and you haven't been answering me. You haven't been listening to me. You haven't been there for me. You let me suffer. You let me go through all this. You let it be bad. What is wrong with you? And he's going through that. And then God is there as an older man talking to him, saying, in this particular instance, I was there for you. I have been there for you. Think of the signs, remember. And they really clearly planted into the movie these moments where, for example, one of them was he was on a bike in New York, riding over the bridge, comes up to a cross intersection, red light. He rides straight through it. He's so busy ruminating, he doesn't even notice that all the traffic either sides has just perfectly, completely timed itself again, right? So that it doesn't hit him. And there's 5 other things that they planned in the movie where you can see that, like, he's lucky as hell that nothing happened to him in those moments. And then when he's like, God's reassuring him that I've showed up for you, he's showing him those moments again, right? So this is the thing I would always say. Anytime that you feel like it's not working, but I'm not hearing, but it's not there, just think again, right? Notice. Just try and be a little more present as you're going through life, to notice those moments when you're driving through the intersections and you're missing the moments like he had, like my friend Bianca and I had, where we clearly saw the car on pause, right? Look for those moments that you're missing, because I can guarantee to you they are there. Yeah, they're there. The other thing is some of the thoughts and the ideas that you get sometimes we get them, but we dismiss them because sometimes it seems so completely obvious. One of the things when I'm explaining intuition to people, the actual process of actually learning how to use it is actually very simple to explain, right? And it's very simple, so simple that when I often explain it to people, they'll go away, dismiss it, and then look for a system that's like 20 levels of more complexity because it must be more complex. Now, the application of it, for sure, and the reading the levels of it is for sure more complex, but it's amazing how sometimes you will get the ideas, you'll get those downloads in the moments where they get in, and then we dismiss them because it seems, oh no, that's too simple. Oh no, that couldn't possibly be it, right? So just notice this week some of the moments that you're dismissing. Could there potentially be something in those moments? Maybe. Some of those things that we hear, again, they're the answers, yeah? And let me just think, there was one other thing, but I just suspect that I might have covered it within that already. Just feeling for if it's still there or if I covered it already. I think I've just covered it already. Yeah. Oh, there is a third one. There you go. See, I just needed to get out of the way for 5 seconds, and I just needed to trust that you could be patient with me for 5 seconds where I could do it, right? And I'm not going to edit it out just to show you how it looks, right? The third thing is other people don't dismiss the messenger. That was the other thing I was going to say, right? Because a lot of the times you will ask, and I know because I've watched people do it, and once or twice I've done it in life, right? Where the message comes, the help shows up, right? You'll say, please, universe, bring me person who will help me with this particular thing. Or I really need a sign that somebody actually values this thing that I've just worked on, that I'm about to launch. Or please tell me I'm on the right track with this particular direction I'm going to choose for my business. I need signs that that's really going to be valued. And I'm on the right track with something that, people really need. When you ask for those kind of signs, so often there will be a person in the external world will show up, right? And they'll give you some verbal feedback, which is the answer to your prayer. They will comment on a social media post somewhere. People will just randomly out of nowhere feel compelled to write you a message just to tell you how amazing and awesome you are. All of these, don't forget, can be answers to the exact thing you asked for when you're in a moment of doubt, right? So be careful to recognize the messenger, to see them, it's to see the messenger again, and to make the link at those times where you're sitting there going, I just don't know, please God, give me an answer, I don't know. Make sure that you take notice when that person, and it might not be part of you. This is the thing where we have to learn to be grateful as well, right? Because perhaps you want it to be that particular person you admire, that particular mentor or friend or partner, or whoever you want it to be, that you want the answer to come from them. But sometimes it might come from some complete random on the street. Sometimes it might come from some new person who just read your stuff. Sometimes it might come from some person who you barely know from within your program structure, who just out of nowhere has hardly engaged for forever, and all of a sudden chooses today of all days to tell you how amazing that they think you are and how much they got out of a particular offering that you recently offered, yeah? These are all ways in which, sometimes life just shows up for us and answers those very concerns that you've been wondering, and those prayers that you put out there, please give me a sign, or please, I wish I knew what was the right way to go with this piece of content. That's how you know, right? Pay attention to when the people show up and give you the answer. So those are my thoughts this week on intuition. And how we can shift focus at this time at which there's a lot going on. It's very noisy and very confusing. Some of those things will help. They will definitely help. Now, if you have had some form of aha moment, if you got to the end of this, I know it's longer than I expected it was going to be today, but if you got to this and you got some form of aha moment out of it, or maybe you have a question about it, maybe there's something you want to know more about. Maybe there's something you'd like me to elaborate on further in another video or a class or an upcoming session, please feel free to comment below or send me a message, and let me know. How was this for you? What was your aha? What's your question? What would you like support with going forward? Because the Lord knows I would be more than happy to, that would bring me a lot of joy to share with you some of my stories and more of my insights as it relates to you in terms of helping you find your clarity to navigate your way through the general circumstances right now, as well as to be better at what you do. So that's it from me. Lots of love to you. I'm Nat, and look forward to speaking to you again soon. Cheers. Bye.